Question 5 is the beginning of the odds questions. And I just want to remind you the difference between odds and probability. Probability is favorable outcomes over total outcomes, whereas odds considers favorable outcomes to unfavorable. Now, this number and this number are different. In fact, the total number of outcomes will equal the favorable plus the unfavorable. So for example, if I'm thinking about rolling a dice and I want to know what's the probability of rolling a 1, there is one favorable outcome, and that is rolling a 1. There are 5 unfavorable. And so that means that the probability would be 1 out of 6 favorable over total. The odds in favor of rolling a 1 would be 1 to 5. This would be favorable to unfavorable. So keep that in mind. And always remember that the two numbers that are in your odds add up to the bottom number of your probability, because it's favorable and unfavorable add up to make total number of things that could happen. So question 5. The odds against winning a game are 5 to 8. So what are the odds in favor of winning the game? The odds against winning a game. So this is the number of outcomes where you lose. That means that this would be the number of outcomes where you win. So what are the odds in favor of winning the game? It just changes what's considered favorable. In the first example, losing was considered favorable. It was against winning. That's losing. In the second, or the answer to this question now is, well, what if winning is favorable? So really, it's just going to switch to 8 to 5. So hopefully that makes sense. If the odds for losing are this, what are the odds for winning? Well, what is favorable? What is the thing we are considering? Well, we were considering losing. Now we're considering winning. That's the only difference. A bag contains 2 green marbles, 5 blue, 2 green, 5 blue. And a marble is picked at random from the bag. What are the odds in favor of picking a green marble? So don't mix this up with probability. A lot of people are going to look at this. What are the odds in favor of picking a green marble? They're going to look at how many green there are, 2. How many are there altogether? 7, and say that the odds are 2 to 7. And that's not it. That is probability. 2 marbles out of the total number of marbles. Probability. This is asking you, what are the odds in favor of picking a green marble? So favorable is green, so 2. Unfavorable is how many marbles are not green? 5. And that is it. 2 to 5. So it's a very, very simple, straightforward question. I just want to make clear this side is green and this side is not green. And in this case, they are all blue, but sometimes they won't. If there were 3 different colors in a bag and I asked you what are the odds of picking one color, you would have to add the other 2 colors together. So keep that in mind. Number 7, I think we're on 7. Probability of you getting a passing mark in the next math test is 65%. What are the odds in favor of you passing the next math test? I'm going to do this a couple different ways. The first way is just look at what 65% is and make that a fraction out of 100. 65 over 100. That's probability. So now I need to ask myself, how many outcomes are there? Well, total outcomes is 100. How many of those 100 outcomes involve me passing? That's what favorable is, 65. So that means 65 out of 100 are favorable. So how many are unfavorable? Well, the rest. So I would do 100 minus 65, and that'll give me 35. That's the number of other things that happened. 65 things happened where I passed. 35 happened where I didn't. 65 and 35 make 100. So odds in favor of me passing a test are favorable to unfavorable. That's 65 to 35. Then you can reduce these the way you would reduce a fraction. So 5 goes into 65, 10, 13 times. 5 goes into 35 7 times. And 13 to 7 would be your answer. Another way of doing this would be to go right off the bat, 65 over 100, and reduce it. 5 goes into this 13 times, it goes into that 20 times. This makes the kind of subtraction part of the math a little bit easier, because now I'm looking at 13 favorable things, and then this is out of 20. Remember, this one here is probability, so this is the total number. So if 13 of them were passing, how many weren't passing? Well, I can figure out that that's 7 in my head. And then I would know that my odds are 13 to 7. This up here is probability. This here is odds. Question 8. The weatherman says that there's a 90% chance of rain tomorrow. Find the odds that it will rain tomorrow. 90% chance is a probability, 90 out of 100. I immediately am going to simplify this to 9 out of 10. You might have started there directly. This is probability, so that means favorable over total number of outcomes. So if you took 10 days with this 90% chance, 9 of them would probably rain out of 10 total days. How many days wouldn't rain? That's what we're figuring out here. And common sense can help you figure out that that's 1. So there's 1 day that's unfavorable. Now remember, odds are not favorable over total. They're favorable to unfavorable. 9 to 1. So the weatherman says there will be a 90% chance of rain tomorrow. Find the odds that it will rain. It is 9 to 1. There are 9 to 1 odds that it will rain.